please put your hands together for Maria Elena Rodriguez. Thank you. So 2005, I'm jumping ahead. But 2005, I was sitting in my office, and I got a call from a colleague of mine from a local nonprofit, and he asked me, he said, Maria Elena, he said, listen, I have 2 interns. They're excellent workers, but the grant ran out, and I'm looking to see if perhaps you can hire them. And I said, sure, send them over. That was on a Friday. On Monday, I had 2 Latinas walk into my office. They're high school seniors, and they're looking forward to graduating from high school. And her name was Alicia, and very outgoing. She was the talker of the 2. And Teresa was very subdued, very shy. But Alicia told us, listen, I'm so proud of Teresa because she's going to be our valedictorian. And she's been offered several scholarships to study engineering. I was just so excited. I mean, first of all, I have 2 Latinas, 2 Mexicanas in front of me who are about to graduate from high school. And Teresa is going to be the valedictorian and has been offered all of these scholarships. And I just bursted out. I said, you know, I don't know you, Teresa, but I'm so proud of you. You're a Latina. You're so full of energy. You're young. And you have all of these opportunities. Do you know what school you're going to go to? She smiled. She had this huge grin. And she said, you know, I may have to decline because my parents said I can't leave the house until I go through La Puerta Grande. I go through the big door, which means the Catholic door, the church door. It means marriage. And I thought, oh my God. I thought we were past that, you know, getting married at a very young age, but I guess not. And I say that because I got married at a very young age, but I wanted to. I was in love. It was a different time. And now that we have all these opportunities, I was hoping, here we have this young lady that she'll take advantage. And that's what I said to her. I hope you take advantage of this opportunity. You have a full ride on a scholarship. Just do it. So a couple days go by, she knocks on my door and she says, Maria Elena, I'd like to invite all of you to my graduation ceremony. And I was just thrilled. I said, yes, we'll definitely be there. So the graduation comes around. A few days before the graduation, I presented her on behalf of the staff. We presented her with a suitcase. And I said to her, this suitcase is so that you can fill it up and go off to college, I hope. Because you have to keep in mind that regardless, time flies and life flies by, and you can't miss this opportunity. So she thanked us, and then we go. A couple days pass, and we go down to Shane Park. We go to the graduation ceremony, and it was wonderful. We were happy for them. And she was just so poised. She did a great job. She was incredible. The following week, the following Monday, she comes into our office. I get up, give her a big hug, and I said, you know, I'm so proud. You did such a great job. You were just so poised. You were very inspirational. And she thanked me. She says, you know, it meant so much to me that all of you were there. And then she asked me, did you notice my mom walked up to me while I was heading to the stage? And I said, no, I didn't know that. Do you know what she said to me? No, I don't. What did she say? Well, she said, mija, I don't know how to tell you this, but no tienes papeles. You're undocumented. I was speechless. Now, I'm a Mexican American. And an American with deep Mexican roots. But quite honestly, I've had that privilege. We talk about all these different privileges, especially nowadays, but the American privilege that I can come and go as I please. I mean, I traveled to Mexico at the age of 8 with my tío Juan. My dad drove us across the border to Windsor, and we flew out of the Windsor airport on a Canadian Pacific plane. My first time I was away from my parents. I was only 8 years old, an only child. Imagine the whole summer. It was the beginning of a whole journey for myself, to go down to Mexico, getting on that plane, having my mom remind me. She said, listen, don't be calling saying you want to come home because money don't grow on trees. So, and I didn't. I didn't call back. I stayed out there. It was a marvelous, marvelous time. So we get on the plane, and it's a Canadian Pacific plane. I mean, we had linen, we had china plates, we had silverware. It was a wonderful meal, and that was Coach. So now we're about to descend into Mexico City, and I'm looking out the window, and it's an incredible view. I see so many cars moving around, all of these different colors, the buildings, the people. It looked like a giant ant farm. And once we stepped off the plane, we step off of the plane, it just hit me, all of these different scents. The radio or the music was blasting out of somewhere of different radios, but everything down there was in Technicolor. And we get there, we get into the terminal, we grab our luggage, we go through immigration, and there, waiting on the other side of the glass doors, are my grandparents. My grandma Conchita, mi abuelito Ricardo. And we're not there, we're just beginning. We have another road trip of 8 hours to get to Querétaro. That's my hometown, our hometown. So we grab our stuff, throw it in the back of his truck, and we start heading out. My grandma Conchita's this dainty little woman, but she only gets tense when my grandpa's driving. And she whips out her rosary, and she did not stop praying until we pulled up to the driveway. Now it's an 8-hour trip, and we made it in 5. And I couldn't tell how fast he was going because the speedometer was broken. And it turns out that all the speedometers on all of his vehicles were broken. So we get there, we turn the corner and onto this cobblestone street. It's a narrow street, and the houses on each side, it's like a continuous wall with just doors. It's like dotted with doors, with the exception of their house that sat in the middle of the block. It was this modern home. We pull up, they jump out, open the driveway, put the truck in, and then all of a sudden, all of these doors open up, and my relatives come out. I have like 15 cousins who live on that one block, and my aunts and my uncles and the best friends. Everybody lives on this block. I am overwhelmed. I'm an only child, but I'm loving it. It was just the best. So my grandmother the next day, she makes me some hot chocolate with unpasteurized milk. It's directly from the farm. Hot rolls, and her specialty, which was gelatin, gelatina, floating in. We had fruit floating in it and stuff. It was just, I think because she made it with so much love, I can still taste it. So that whole summer, I went to the ranch with my relatives. They had a surprise birthday party for me. That was the highlight of my trip. I got to see another one of my grandparents, my grandfather, Arcadio, who lived here in Detroit for a long time, but he retired back and he moved down to Mexico. He was there. It was like a turning point in my life. And I was only 8 years old. So that takes place. I come back for another life-changing event. I get here just in time for that. The long-awaited birth of my only brother, Felipe. And we were just thrilled. But we come back to Mexico 4 months later, and we had this christening and this huge fiesta, and it lasted 2 weeks. To this day, we still talk about it. We have photos. Everybody, the whole family and their family and everyone else's family, they were all in the photos, and we still talk about that. Every summer, we would spend in Mexico, my summer vacations. And when we come back, it was always bittersweet. Bittersweet because we were leaving behind our loved ones, but also looking forward to the routines, looking forward to coming back to Detroit. And crossing the border at Laredo, for us, was no big deal. My mother, my brother, myself, we're US-born citizens. We're all Detroiters. My dad was a US resident, then he became a citizen. But we never had issues crossing that border. So we always knew that there was another time, there would be a next trip, another time to go back. And there was a one time that when I was 13, my cousin Tere took me to her school. She took this bocha cousin, and she went to show me off. I felt like it was a circus act, but okay, so she takes me there, and all the girls, they make a circle around me, and they start poking at me. Habla inglés, speak English. Habla inglés, di algo. ¿Conoces los Supremes? Son de Detroit. No, I don't know but I do know Stevie Wonder, because he was a close friend of ours, neighbor, when he just started his career. So at that point, after that whole experience, I walked away with that like, I feel special. I'm bilingual, I'm bicultural. I mean, I speak more Spanish than I did the first time I went. And obviously I speak English, I'm from here, I'm from Detroit. So I really felt special. I'm gonna fast forward to the 90s. So 1990, around that time, I got invited to judge a dance contest over at the Mexican Festival on the river. And I thought, this is great. Every year it's Old Home Week, we bump into family members, like all the ethnic festivals, people do the same. And I look out into the audience, and if I recognized among the 1,000 of people that were there, 5 people, that was 5 too many. And I realized something is happening in our community, and it's exciting. I'm no longer the only person that's the cultural chameleon. I'm not the only bilingual person. I'm not the only bicultural person. There's so many of us. That, for me, was exciting. But getting back to Teresa, what occurred also was that there's so many of us, and she's so much like me. She's bicultural, she's bilingual. The only thing that distinguishes us is that she doesn't have her documents, and I do. And I had no idea how privileged I was. Up until that moment, just like a lot of my Mexican-American friends, I took it for granted that I can come and go, I can travel, I can get whatever I want. I can cross the border, I can go to Los Angeles, I can drive to Chicago, fly, whatever I wanted to do. I never gave it a second thought because I'm an American, I have that privilege. Not the case with Teresa, not the case with 800,000 Teresas in 2005. They would, every day they step out of their house not knowing if they'll be able to come back. They don't know if when their parents go to work, are they going to come back? Is ICE going to pick them up on the street? They don't know. This is what they live with, this uncertainty. So what these 2 young ladies brought to me, that was in 2005. So I'm going to jump to 2006 very quickly. Because of all of this mushrooming of the students and the families, there was an immigrant march that took place. It was national, and it also took place here in Detroit. Tens of thousands of people walked here in Detroit. And it was pretty emotional. And it continued to grow from the 800,000 to the millions. 2012 comes up. DACA, the DACA policy, the DACA policy for the students that are now referred to as dreamers, you probably heard of them, are the Teresas out there. Okay, these young ladies, like Teresa, have no idea they're undocumented. They were brought as babies, they were brought as toddlers, or they could have been brought at the age of 8 or 10, but they had no idea. They just thought they were U.S. citizens because it was never spoken of at home. So with the DACA 2012, and that policy was established, as we all know, as of January, a lot of things are changing in this country. But the DACA, that DACA we're still fighting for, the dreamers are still dreaming. I want y'all to know that that they can contribute so much to this country because they already have. And what I take away from all of this is those two young Mexican ladies that walked into my office that day, they gave me a real gift of awareness. I realized, I felt something so profound, and I've always been active in my community, but mostly in culture, and I've immersed myself. Again, the privilege of going back and forth and being able to do so many things. But now realizing that there's a different world within our community, a different world in our country. They gave me this gift to, I think that, well, I'm going to step back, but I think that the reason I was doing this, going back and forth and learning as much about our culture, was I was actually nourishing myself to prepare myself to be able to be of service to the DACA students, to help in some way and to make a difference. And what I can say is that these two young ladies have no idea that when they walked into my office, they gave me a gift. They filled my soul with something very profound, perhaps of service. And I can only say thank you, and I can say that I hope I witness some major changes that are for the positive and for these kids. Thank you.
Maria Elena Rodriguez.